All right, let's get started. We're getting down to the wire, aren't we? Week 12, which means we only have 2 more weeks of instruction, and then your first semester, at least for most of you, your first semester at Marshall University is done. 1 down, right? I guess, 7 to go? I have a couple quick announcements. So first off, we talked last time about advanced registration. If you are classified as a freshman, which means this is either your first semester or you had up to, I think it's like 30 credit hours before the start of this semester, then registration for you opens Tuesday at midnight. So if it's Monday the 18th, 11:59, 12 o'clock, like right then it opens. For my advisees, I know I sent an email out to my advisees, and I've already met with close to half of them already. But if you haven't, I would strongly suggest that you try and schedule a meeting with your advisor as soon as possible. Not really so much for the engineering courses. I think we can get you into whatever you need. But usually at your consideration right now, like I said last time, is making sure that you're taking the engineering courses that you need to take, but there's also an assortment of Core 1, Core 2, and what have you. And so you want to make sure that you get the sections that you need to be progressing forward. At the very least, if you make sure that you go through that presentation one more time so that you have an understanding of the mechanics of how to register and generally what you should be taking. I am going to have a quiz this week. I'm going to upload it either today or maybe early tomorrow. It'll close next Friday at 11. Okay. Next week is going to be our last week before break, but it's also going to be our last week in here. Because if you look at the syllabus says that we're going to do the exam online early during dead week. Okay? So we'll have an online exam, and so last week will be the last meeting that we have in Engineering 103. We'll talk about the mechanics of how the exam will work out, let you all make sure that you all are clear on that, ask any questions you all have, and so on and so forth. Sound good? All right. So we're going to get back to our sort of regularly scheduled programming, if you will. I'm going to turn it over. No, you're good. You got time. I'm going to turn it over to one of our faculty to make a short presentation introducing herself. Then we'll turn it over to our main speaker. My faculty for this week is one of our electrical professors, Dr. Salam Hajar. She's going to tell you a little bit about her research and what she does. So let's give Dr. Hajar a warm welcome. I'll get you loaded up.
So good morning, everybody, and thanks for having me. I'm Salam Hajar, Assistant Professor in Electrical and Computer Engineering. I like always to start my speech with questions. Who among you is planning to have electrical engineering as major? Wow, nice number. Okay, so you will see me a lot in your classes. I will give you a brief idea about my background, my educational background. I have got my PhD in Automatic Control Embedded Systems in 2013 in France. I have got Masters in Information and Web Technology at the National Institute of Applied Science in France, 2009. Before that, I've got a Masters in Computer Science back in Syria, and my original background is Bachelor in Electrical and Computer Engineering. And I have a little bit of electronics too I can help you with. Regarding my professional experience, since 2016 I am in Marshall, assistant professor. Before that I was in Brazil doing postdoctoral fellowship in research about smart grids. I have been in France, Grenoble, doing PhD about also smart grids. I have been instructor and research associate in National Institute of Applied Science doing research on embedded systems. Before that, I was research assistant in informatics and safety on the web. And before that, I was electrical engineer in Syria. What do I do in Marshall? Everything except washing my car. Seriously. We will do teaching, a lot of courses. You will see me in engineering profession, in courses in computer science, in computer engineering. You will see me teaching sometimes mechanical courses, but only the mathematical part. I don't do mechanics a lot. So you will see me in all those, lucky you and sometimes unlucky. So I don't know if this is positive or negative, but I can help in all these courses. Where you find me, in the 3rd floor in that new building of engineering in 3111. My office is most of the time open for students. If I have any of my advisees in here, I have seen one. Okay, so contact me as soon as possible. I'm available next week by email. During Thanksgiving, do not expect me to answer my phones, or not my phones, my emails. And do remove your advisor hold before you register for your classes. I finished speaking about myself. Let us speak a little bit about research. What do? I fix trains. Seriously, I do. The idea is that when we do research about bringing components from several companies, put them together and ask them to work correctly. The percentage of bringing components from different companies and let them work and do the work correct is about 10%. Why? Because of compatibility problems. Some of them work on different voltage. Some of them would have problems in synchronization. So what you need to do is to avoid having problems on the design. I'm not speaking about the implementation. I'm speaking about the design. You need to think about a methodology to solve the problem of designing. How can I put the components together and supervise from an upper level to see what is the commands I can order these two components to let them work in synchronization and in compatibility. So what we do in the beginning is we select the components, and we have deep background of each component. Where does it come from? How does it work? What is the best environment for this component to work with? And then we do modeling, mathematical modeling of the components. And then we do automatic error detection, is bringing the components, put them together without any modification of their configuration, and then see how do they behave and detect what are these errors. Then automatic error correction by providing an automatic controller that is able to analyze the behavior of every component and tell, I'm going to cut this behavior of this component and cut this behavior of this component, allow this component to do X, allow this component to do Y in certain time to make them work in harmony. And then we verify if that the global system of the components together is really working well or not. Why? I was saying in this step that the controller will cut behavior of components. And if I cut a lot of the behavior, then the component will do absolutely nothing, but it's doing no mistakes. So it's not only the idea of like prevent some bad behavior of the component, but you need to make sure that the system is still doing something. It's not doing mistakes, but not doing anything at all. So you need to do this verification. And then we do simulation. Once we do the simulation, which is bringing to the nearest environment, real environment, if we agree on the validation, we download the system on FPGA, which stands for Field Programmable Gateway Array. It's a small chip where you can download your code and then you run your system. That research was funded by the French Industry Ministry. And then I have done another work on smart grids, where the problem was this. In the smart grids, we have producers and we have consumers of power. What happens is usually the producers would say, I can produce this amount of megawatt for this amount of money at this amount during this time. The consumer would say, I can pay this amount of money and I need this much of megawatts. If I let just everybody talks to everybody, the network will be so messy. And my poor clients will not be able to know what is the best deal for them. So my work was, or our work in the team was, to have some centralized controller that will be able to take the offers from the producers, take the needs or the requests from the consumers, and do some management to provide the best bill, the cheapest bill, with covering as much as possible, or absolutely 100% of the requests of the consumers. The only problem that was giving us hard time or headache was those renewable energy producers, where the windmill, where the wind turbines, I would say wind turbines, do not provide the same amount of energy the whole year. It depends on the season and where you place it, offshore or onshore. So it does not have a regular production. Similarly with the solar panels, they work during the morning, but if it's cloudy day, if it's snowy, if it's so much sunny, so also the production changes or varies during the year, and also during the day. So this controller has to work dynamically. It's not only that do this static protocol, follow it, and you will get whatever you want. No, you have to deal and interact with these components. That was the main problem. So what we have done is also similar to the components, bringing components together, but what we used is peer-to-peer system where every component is going to collaborate, talk to the controller, effectively exchange information, exchange profile of whatever I can do and whatever you will provide me as benefits in order to cover the producers and the consumers' need. The idea of peer-to-peer system is to provide the priority of every peer or contributor in the system as equal. The only one who has superior privileges is the controller, but everyone else is equal. How about some other topics that I do research? I work on electricity theft and how some people would manipulate the meters in order to avoid paying bills. One of the things is they produce magnetic field. They provide magnetic field around the meter, and they make it turn, instead of forward, it will turn backward. And at some point you find that the grid will be paying you back instead of you pay your bill. Another one is start smart vehicles and communicate with vehicles. The one that I work with is the automotive autopilot that will detect the distance between you and your front and back neighbor. And if your front neighbor is slowing down, then it will give you alarm, pay attention. If the guy behind you is accelerating, then it will also tell you, pay attention, someone may hit you from the back. So take some precaution or pay attention to what's going on. The smart medical devices, it is a work that is done by my students, and I thank them so much. They did a fabulous work. They did a wheelchair that can recognize if there is an object in front of you. It will give you some alarms to stop, and it will stop by itself. They also created a cane that will detect if the person who's using this cane, an elder person, if he's tired, and it will give him some alarm that you need to have rest after walking several steps or amount of steps. And if it notices that his heartbeat is also getting troubles, then it will give him alarm, and it will send message to a person who is assisting him that, oh, pay attention, your person, the one you are taking care of, is in trouble, so go to him. And the last one was the smart building. It's also work done by my students, staying at home and controlling your neighbor's room by sending some controls or commands to his Raspberry Pi or Arduino and some stuff. So those were done by my students basically, and I'm only a little bit of help. Am I able to run these videos? Let me show you. This is a security alarm example for an entry, a gate. This is done in my class 211. And here is a station, weather station, where it detects humidity, detects how warm is the room, how cold, if you have rain. And those are also done by students. The last one is actually my favorite, which is Morse, Morse language. Supposed to tell me. He will push the button and it will write text. And that is used, they used Arduino microcontroller, and it's 200 level course. That is all. I don't know if you have questions or not. You know where to find me. Yes.
So my name is Beth, and I work in career services. And I
Yes,
had
Beth.
one of Dr. Michelson's co-op students come to me a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
And he's an, I guess,
He's electrical?
engineering. Yes, and so it's such a new degree path for Marshall. He was interested in like where he could go to like find internships and things like that. Are there like certain industries or companies we should be looking for?
Yeah, he needs to look at the online. There are some internship offers where he can apply for, but mainly he will work with his academic supervisor or advisor to look with him for some internships.
Okay. Okay. I haven't found any online. That's why I was asking. I'm
Okay.
probably looking in the wrong place.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other question I can help with? If no, then thank you again for having me, and have a lot of A's in your finals. Okay.
Thank you. Now, on to our main speaker. As Beth said, she's from Career Services. If I had to guess, I think you all might want a job at some point. Am I right? You know, it might be something to consider. But in all seriousness, the Career Services office at Marshall is an office that I've worked with pretty closely now for close to maybe like 2 or 3 years. And they offer a lot of resources that sometimes students aren't familiar with, and they really should be, because there's a whole arm of staff here at Marshall that's dedicated to getting students jobs. And some of the resources that they have, you really should avail yourselves of. And I'm going to turn it over to Beth, and she's going to tell you all about what they do. So with that, let's hear it for Beth from Career Services. Here's this.
Okay, I don't think I need that.
Okay, all right.
I'm good. Okay, all right. How are you guys today? Good? Everybody ready for Thanksgiving? Yes. Me too. Me too. Okay, so first of all, I would like to know from you guys, who in here is a freshman? Wow. Okay, who's a sophomore? Any juniors in the room? Couple? What about seniors? You just want to finish out your hours, right?
Well, actually, I'm a transfer student.
Okay, okay, I understand. Okay, so who knows where our office is located on campus? So the minority. So everybody knows where Harless Dining Hall is, right? Everybody knows where you can go get food. So you have Harless Dining, and then you have a little brick street, and then you have like a little brown house beside it. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? So that's where our office is located, okay? So please, over your next 2-3 years here at Marshall, develop a relationship with us, because it's really important, because we have companies contact us often and will say, we need a co-op for this summer, or we need somebody to work 20 hours for us in the spring. If we know you and we have developed a relationship with you, then I can just send you an email and say, hey, I need your help, okay? So kind of us getting to know who you are and you guys know who we are is really important, all right? All right, so in a nutshell, what our primary job is to do is to help you be successful in your career, help you prepare for your career, not engineering, because I don't know a thing about engineering, right? But just to help make sure you are professional and getting ready to start your process, okay? And we can help you in any way, shape, or form to get ready for that. Has anybody here used our office before? I was trying to like stare you all down to see if I see any familiar faces, but I didn't think I had. I see one. I had it in class last semester. Okay, so one of our primary goals in our office is to help you with career advising. You also have your academic advisors who can help you with that, but we run into who are engineering majors or maybe pre-engineering majors who once they get into your field and you have to take those calc classes and all those chem classes and physics classes, you're like, this is no longer for me. And that's perfectly fine if you feel that way. Nobody's going to force anything upon you. But if you get to that point, you can come to our office and you can talk to us, and we can try to find another career path for you that's good and you still be successful in it. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? So if you start getting to the point where you're great and you love it, but you don't love it too, we can kind of help you with that. Okay? We try to make sure, and all of you all have to take the co-op class, right? Engineering 217. Has anybody taken it yet? Okay, so you're familiar with me if you've taken it, right? So in Greg's co-op class, we work a lot with career prep, career development. I feel like I have probably a really good relationship with our engineering professors, more so than any other professors on campus. But we can help you make sure you have a good resume. There's a difference between having a good resume and having a targeted resume, okay? So we can try to help you target your resume and make you as competitive as you can be when you're going to apply for these co-ops or these internships or whatever the case may be. Use us for that, okay? We can help you. If you need it from a content standpoint, of course, go to your engineering professors because they can help you more with the content and we can help you more with the development and how it looks, okay? One nice little perk in our office, I know you can't print free on campus for nearly anything, is that right? Do you have to pay when you print in most places on campus, I think? So you can come to our office when you're getting ready to apply for a job, or say you're going to a convention or a competition or a career fair or a workshop, and you want to have your resume to give to somebody there, you can come to our office and we can print it for you on a nicer little resume bond type paper. It's just a little thicker. Does anybody know what it is? Has anybody used it for anything? It's just a little bit of a thicker paper, but it makes you look more professional when you're going into something, okay? So use us for those type of things. All right, so to me, this is what I call a resume. This is what I call a cover letter. I don't know anybody else in my office that does, but I call it a sales pitch because you are trying to sell yourself and your best assets to a company. Would you all agree with that? Yes. So when you all are doing that, you need to think of anything that you've done while you're a freshman moving on that is going to be pertinent to your career and make you more competitive. I talk to a lot of seniors who don't think about jobs until they're a senior. Okay, they're just worried about going to school, doing well. But then when I say, okay, well, let's go back and think, what did you do your freshman year? What did you do your sophomore year? I get blank stares. You know, nobody can remember. So you don't have to update your resume all the time if you don't want to, but I do recommend you keep a notebook or a Word doc or something on file where you can just quickly go in and write what you did during the semesters. So when it comes time to put together a really strong document, you have that information, okay? So if you served as a treasurer on a club, or you were the president of something, or you went to a competition, a lot of that's forgotten by the time you get to your senior year. So make sure you document that stuff moving on, okay? And then, of course, your resume is going to give you highlights of yourself. We try to always help students too and try to talk you into writing cover letters so you can more fully explain who you are. So we can help you with all of that information, okay? Who in here has a good resume already, do you feel like? Good. Who has one, period? Who just has one? Fantastic. Who, I guess the rest of you have never created one, right? Okay. You will. I promise you will. Okay. So we can, if you come to us and you feel like, my resume's not that great, like I haven't really done anything but be a student, don't really have any work experiences or anything like that, we can kind of talk to you and look at what options are out there and try to help you create a stronger resume, okay? So getting involved without taking up so much of your time. So you can show things on your resume that other people may not have. Unfortunately for you guys, it's different when I graduated from college, because when I graduated college, I'm going to guess 10% or less of my senior class went to college, went to school. Tons of them went to the military. Tons of them got a job right out of high school. You didn't have to have a college degree then. Now you guys are going to go compete for jobs where everybody's going to have the same degree as you or a variation of your degree, right? So how are you going to make yourself stand out, and how are you going to make yourself be competitive when you go? So we can kind of talk to you about that process while you're a student. But if you wait till your senior year to come to us, sometimes it's a little too late at that point, okay? So just kind of start thinking about these things as you're moving along. So we kind of talk to you and give you ideas on how to develop your competencies. Every employer is looking for you to have something besides your degree, okay? Do they want you to have your degree? Yes. Do they hope you have a good GPA? Yes, okay? But they want to hire some employees who are well-rounded individuals, so you can bring more to the company than just your 4 years, 5 years at Marshall, okay? These are the top 8 traits that they're looking for when you are applying for a job. They're looking at your documents, like what can you say? So we can give you ideas on how to develop these, or how to, if you feel like you have them but you don't know how to sell yourself in those fields or how to articulate it, we can kind of help you with that too, okay? But these 8, and I tell you, the most important thing, like our employers are telling us that they're looking for new hires, other than just what you're majoring in, is leadership. So you need to kind of develop a way that you can get more leadership skills while you're at Marshall, okay? Whether that's taking a role in an org, leading group projects, maybe taking lead on research. What are you going to do to feel like you're a good leader? Who in here feels like they're a good leader? Okay, and who can back that up with specific examples? Good, 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 good. Okay, so you need to think about your leadership and how you're going to gain that over your years at Marshall. And of course with engineering, you guys have technology that's already embedded in your curriculum, is that correct? That you have to know. Do you have additional steps you can take within that technology to become, say, like certified in your technology? So taking extra steps, working hard, that's going to make you different when you're going to apply for jobs, okay? Our website has a lot of good information on it. So ever since I've been at Marshall, we have been Career Services. We have recently like rebranded ourselves to Career Education. I will probably still say Career Services forever while I'm here, okay? But if you go to Marshall's website and then you type in Career Education, it gives you a really nice website that can also help you if you can't come in, if you just need some quick resources. You can look at like resume examples, cover letter examples, career development, anything like can help you. We have really nice job search resources in Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, okay? You need to come talk to us if you're looking outside the tri-state area. But there's really good resources right there, okay? So I recommend you guys go and just check out our website, and it will help you. It will also tell you all the events we have every semester. And I don't care if you're a freshman, if you're a sophomore, there are some events you probably need to go to so you can practice your professionalism skills up until the point you guys are getting ready to graduate. Okay? You want to say something?
No, no.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were like ready to like.
You keep on going.
Okay, all right. So how many of you all have used job tracks? How many of you all have never heard of job tracks? Okay. How many of you have heard of it and never used it? Okay. So on MyMU, under the Resources tab, there are several career options there you can do. One is job tracks. And job tracks, we run that out of our office. So we post jobs on there. We post internships on there. A lot of students use it for like an iCloud almost, where you can upload your documents, and as long as you can log into MyMU, that you're good, you can get those forever, okay? One good thing I like about job tracks is that, I'm not going to say 100%, but at least 99% of the jobs we have on there are good, solid jobs. They're not fraudulent jobs, okay? And I think that even in the engineering field, it doesn't matter what you all are going into, on Indeed, on Glassdoor, on ZipRecruiter, there are like tons of fraudulent jobs out there. And it's really hard to figure out sometimes which ones are true and which ones are fraudulent. So if you go and you search through our website, we make sure all the employees are checked, they're validated, they're real. So when you're applying for a job, you should be good to go. Okay? And you would think, like we had a student graduated last semester with his master's degree, and he got in trouble over the summer because he applied for a job. And he's a master's student. I mean, he's a smart guy. And it was just a job he applied to. And then once he sent in all his information, they started taking money out of his checking account. So you just truly never know. So that's why when you're job searching, you need to be really careful. And if you feel like you're looking at something and you're not sure, come to us and we can try to help you walk through those steps to make sure. Okay? Because it's really scary. One thing that our office provides is the ability for you to network. I can promise you, you will probably not get a job unless you know somebody who knows somebody or you know somebody, okay? More and more, networking is important. So we provide opportunities for you to network. Also, the engineering department provides you opportunities to network. Take them up on that because it's really important to grow who you know in your field, okay? And this number every year gets higher and higher. So for 2018, 80 to 85% of employees who were hired had a connection in some way with that company. Maybe they had an internship there or co-op there, or maybe they did know somebody who worked within the company, but that is a humongous number, okay? And then some companies will fill jobs internally and never even list them online. So knowing someone in that company who can say, hey, I've got this new job. We don't really want to have to go through this whole committee thing to find somebody. Do you guys know somebody? And if somebody knows you, they can turn in your resume for you, okay? So really knowing people, and I think it's really important. So these are the people who make up your network, okay? So any coworkers you currently have, your past coworkers. If I called and talked to your all supervisors, would they give you a good review? Okay? So making sure you keep good relationships with them. Or do any of y'all work in the customer service industry? Like whether it's retail or food, or do any of you all have like regulars? Like regular customers who come to you? I see a couple nods yes. They can also be really good for your network. Like if you start talking to people, I've talked to a couple of our Marshall students who used to work at La Familia up on 6th Avenue. I don't know if anybody has eaten there. Well, it's in the Student Center now too, right? The La Familia's in the Student Center. And they just got to know their customers really well. And when they graduated, some of the people they had come in contact with got them their jobs. So you just never know who you're talking to and who's going to be able to help you, okay? Who in here feels like they really have a good network right now? Are you all my upperclassmen too? I would think. Who feels like they do not? Does everybody here have one connection to the engineering field? Through family, friends, something like that? If you don't, you need to try to start working on that, okay? And we can help you with that too. Okay. All of you all should have a LinkedIn account by the time you're juniors, okay? LinkedIn, who does not know what LinkedIn is? So LinkedIn is like a professional Facebook, okay? You go on there, you reach out to companies, you make connections. This is becoming more and more vital in the job search field. A lot of companies are now doing their applications on LinkedIn and nowhere else, okay? So going through LinkedIn is very, very important. Recruiters will also contact you if you have your resume and your stuff on LinkedIn, okay? So this is becoming more and more important. And if you go on there and you have created your account, but you want somebody to look over it to make sure you're selling yourself correctly, or maybe you're struggling with how to put it together, you can come to our office and we can help you, okay? But all of you all need a LinkedIn. Because when you go to apply for a job or an internship or whatever, what is the very first thing an employer is going to do? They're going to Google your name, okay? And if the first thing that comes up is your Twitter, or the first thing that comes up is your Instagram, or whatever the case may be, that's okay, but that's not a professional site, okay? So you need to make sure when they Google your name, the first thing that comes up is something like a LinkedIn, so it's professional. Now, if you create a LinkedIn account today, but you don't use it for the next 2 months, and they go to look you up, it's not going to come up in the search, okay? So LinkedIn is something that once you create an account, you need to be active on it, at least log in a couple of times a week or something like that, so that comes up first in your search, okay? We had a student come in yesterday because he's getting ready to apply for some big internships, but he needed help cleaning up his social media, okay? And you just have to be very, very careful, because even if you have all of your social media set to private, which I have a lot of mine set to private, it truly doesn't matter, because HR people have back doors to get in and see it regardless. So you just have to make sure when you're starting to put your name out there professionally, your social media is cleaned up, okay? And if you need help, we can also help you with that. We do a lot with interviewing in our office. We can help you through the interview process. We can help you through the marketing process, self-promotion, things like that. I know in the co-op class, you have to do mock interviews with another engineer, so that should help prep you by the time you get out. But we can help you along that way. We have kind of changed our stance on this as well, because we realize a lot of students will start their interview process with a telephone screen, right? Or you'll start it with a Skype interview or FaceTime now. So we will try to make the interview as true to life as we can, whether it's via phone, via computer, face-to-face. We'll try to help you in all elements that we can, okay? We also help with grad school. I'm sure that you freshmen and sophomores aren't thinking about grad school at all. I don't know about my juniors and seniors. I've had a lot of Dr. Michelson's students who are now graduating with their engineering degree but getting their MBA. I worked with like 3 or 4 last semester who didn't do an engineering graduate degree, but they did an MBA. So we can kind of help you with that too, as far as your application, your personal statements. I realize that's probably a while off for all of you all, but when it comes time, we can definitely help you with that, okay? All right, we put on events every semester. I recommend you start going to them, only because if you're not looking for a job right now, you can go and there'll be no consequence, right? You can go, talk to people, expand your network, gain comfort in talking about yourself, and I just would recommend you do that, because it puts you in a professional environment, so when you graduate, you're not thrown into something and you've had no practice, okay? So we do this every semester, so you just get on our website and you can see our list of events that we always do, okay? We also do job shadowing, and this has really grown for our office. If you're like unsure, if you want to go into like civil engineering or mechanical engineering or electrical, we're still kind of, that's why I was asking that professor earlier. If you want to go job shadow someone for a day, that would be amazing, because then it also grows your network and you can see what it's really like on the job for a day or 2 or a week or however long you want to do it. And we can help you make those connections, okay? Especially if you're a freshman, sophomore, and you might not really know exactly what you want to do, we can help you with that, okay? I'm done. That's kind of my spiel. This is our little house where we're located. Do you all have any questions for me that I can help answer?
Job shadowing for things other than engineering?
Yes, we do it for every major that Marshall has. Yep, absolutely. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for having me. Enjoy Thanksgiving.
Well, first, yeah, let's give I have a couple things that I want to say before we close this out. I want to give you just a little bit of a numbers game on this. Earlier in the semester, I discussed the FE exam and the PE exam and getting your professional engineer's license. A little bit on some statistics. If you look across the nation, the vast majority of engineers that get licensed are civil engineers. Okay, mechanicals and electricals don't pursue their licensure as much as others. If I were you, I would think of that as an opportunity. Let's say you've been doing your best trying to get an internship and hasn't worked out, and it's junior, senior time, and you're thinking, I want to get a job, I need to put something on my resume. Take the FE exam, okay? I'll tell you right now, if I'm looking at 2 potential students to hire and one's passed their FE exam and one hasn't, I'm going to look at that student a little differently. They went out of their way to meet the national standard, okay? So you really need to consider that, okay? And I can't stress enough to really review some of the resources that Career Services has. For example, recently, this was a few weeks ago, Career Services arranged an event at JCPenney where they roped off the store for, I think it was like 3 or 4 hours, and you could get business attire for up to 60% off. You may or may not have a suit or a professional outfit for an interview. I mean, 60% off, that's some serious savings. It really is. You could get a full interview outfit, you know, for something like $100, and that's something that I think that you need for a number of reasons. You might be making a senior design presentation. You might be going on an interview. You might be at some professional setting. Having that professional attire is appropriate. I'm just using that as an example, but I really do think you ought to explore their resources. That's all I have for everybody this week. Quiz is going to get uploaded. Don't forget it's going to close next Friday at 11. Next week is our last week, so we'll talk about some logistics for the final. That's all I got. Y'all have a great weekend.